Soda woke up in another world as a level 1 drop item from a slime. All his stats are F, but he has a godlike power of S rank drop rate. Soda found himself in a strange and unfamiliar place after hearing a game-like sound. Meanwhile, Emily Brown had her own surprise when a slime blob she just killed unexpectedly dropped Soda. She was confused because Soda looked like a human, but since he was a drop from killing a slime, she thought he was a piece of meat. She decided to cut him up, but Soda got up, scaring her. The girl jumped back, questioning if he was really a human. It seemed pretty much obvious, but the girl couldn't understand why he appeared after she killed a slime. Now, both are confused, because Soda couldn't understand how he dropped from a slime. The girl calls it unexpected because slimes usually drop bean sprouts. Soda thinks she's crazy and tries to get some answers and asks about slimes and drops. The girl is confused as if Soda was questioning common sense. She tells him to follow and watch what she does. He does as asked and sees a level 1 slime in the room. The girl charges forward, takes a hit that loses half her HP, and smashes the slime down. He claps for her performance, wishing to clap something else, and poof, the slime disappears and drops a few bean sprouts. She explains the slimes on level 1 of Tululu dungeon floor drop bean sprouts. Common knowledge she weighs, but not for Soda. He looks around and starts to freak out. Confused, he asks if that's how bean sprouts are made. She replies with yes, pretty much everything. He gets confused with the everything part. She then clarifies, in this world, everything is a dungeon monster drop. He's confused but decides to follow and ask her stuff. First, he questions if he's still in Japan or on Earth, but the girl doesn't understand his questions and ignores him. The girl continues moving forward and killing more slimes for bean sprouts. So, he decides to ask why she isn't looking for other monsters. She explains that only slimes exist on the first level of this dungeon. He questions about going to level 2 or above. She reveals she's weak and she needs to level up. He gets impressed that people can level up. To be fair, at this point, any dumbass knows they're in another world if they see a slime, not Soda though. The girl shows him a frame in the dungeon walls, explaining it to be a status board. If he touches it, he can see his stats rated from F to A. He realizes that it seems like a game, and how the stats are rated. He then notices there's a second page. She explains that it's a drop stat page. This is the part he gets confused. What does it mean when the stats are high? She explains that high stats make it easier to get drops and increases the drop quantity. She claims to have a high plant drop rate, which is E-rated. High as hell you know. And that's why she's getting bean sprouts. He decides to check his stats, just to find out that he should be ashamed to be in another world. His max level is 1 and all his stats are F. She clarifies his max level, which is obvious as hell, and they decide to check his second page. Well, she can only describe it as sad. He loses all his motivation to live here, while the girl is counting the alphabet. Apparently, this girl doesn't know that S-rated stats are actually the highest, and that's all his drop rate stats. He thinks it may be different here, and decides to try it out. He looks around for a weapon, and the girl lets him use her hammer. Turns out she probably stole it from Thor. He almost breaks his arm while dropping it to the floor because it's too heavy. The girl apologizes and gives him a bamboo spear. They then notice a slime heading toward them, and Sato tries to deal with it. He manages to land a hit after some tries, and the drop is crazy. It's a huge amount of bean sprouts. He realized it was a lot more than what Emily had ever seen before. He then realized that he was right, S is above A. He asks if she has ever seen someone with an S stat, but she replies that they don't exist. Since both are feeling hungry, the girl makes a bean sprout soup to enjoy. But when Soda tries it, tears start falling from his eyes. The girl panics thinking it tastes bad, but explains that it's been a long time since he could enjoy a warm meal with someone else. He starts to remember his life as an office worker. He always worked extra unpaid hours and ate only cold stuff from a store. In the end, his health got ruined and he ended up in the hospital. He tried to compensate working even harder and ended up taking a nap at work. And then, he woke up in a different world after becoming a slime drop item. He tears down, realizing that he worked for nothing and that his life was hell. The girl tries to comfort him, telling him that his efforts will always pay off if he works hard. And the longer it takes, the bigger is the reward. The girl then mentions that the best way to do it is to work hard and then be rewarded when they are reborn in their next life. Soda thanks her for comforting him and decides to stay positive in this life. He wants to find a place to stay, and the girl mentions the town right outside the dungeon. She then mentions that he should go now, because she's about to also go to sleep. He's confused and asks if she's going to sleep inside the dungeon. She explains that she doesn't have money to rent an inn room, because her drop rate is low, so she sleeps inside the dungeon, but she dreams that one day she could have an apartment. Soda gets up, ready to leave, and she hands him the bamboo spear. He needs something to defend himself, and if he needs to find her in the future, then he can come to the level 1 dungeon. He asks her name, and she replies that she's Emily. Soda moves to the city and starts to understand the basics of this world. The currency is pylos, and the sprouts that he got from the slime are worth 200 pylos. Renting a room costs 2,000 pylos per night, and a dish similar to ramen is 500 pylos. He checked the prices of everything he wants and then goes inside the dungeon. He kills then several slimes, realizing how lucky he is. When he realized that he was perma level 1, he thought that he was living in hell again. But the drop rate stat is so overpowered that it compensates for it. After 3 days, he comes back to Emily and takes her to an old house. She's confused, but he explains that he rented it for 20,000 pylos a month, the amount he earned in the last few days. She looks around, finding that it's an amazing place, but he suddenly hands her the house key. She doesn't understand what's going on, but he tells that this is her new house, and he will be covering her rent. The girl claims she cannot accept it, but he tells is his repayment for the soup. He thanks her again for the warm, delicious soup. The girl almost tears down with those words and accepts living there. She notices the injuries on his hands, and he explains he's been fighting non-stop. She then makes her decision. She says that she will be making soon for the rest of her life, and wants him to enjoy it with her. He then realizes she's asking him to live with her and accepts the deal. From then on, Sato continues his routine of killing slimes and selling the bean sprouts. But the price isn't that great, he only gets about 2,000 pylos. He considers going to the second level and finds out that it drops carrots. The receptionist named Urza talks about a new dungeon that appeared recently. She explains that sometimes dungeons appear and disappear out of nowhere, and that there's a group investigating the drop items. Soda then says goodbye to her, and she takes the chance to ask if he wants to have a drink with her. As you expect, he says not this time. He heads back home to Emily, who's happily welcoming him back. He talks about the new dungeon, but she says that apparently there are no drop items there. He decides to explore it, surprised that nobody is there. He guesses that maybe it doesn't drop anything at all. Suddenly, a skeleton appears and tries to attack him. A stone pillar falls on top of the skeleton. The monster disappears and Soda notices a seed on the floor. He picks it up, but it disappears. Suddenly, Soda hears a message mentioning that his max health points have been increased by 1. Soda decides that he will continue farming the dungeon until all his health stat reaches S. When he managed to, he told Emily that he was going to the level 2 dungeon to find out how strong he is. But Emily is making a strange sad face. She reveals that she's worried about him. He worked to exhaustion to rent a house for her, and then, after finding the new dungeon, he's been farming all night. She tells him to come back at night and rest at home, instead of being reckless. Soda remembers that in his past life, he didn't have anyone who worried about him, but he now has, so he promises to come back early. He goes to the level 2 dungeon and gets hit by a slime, but he only took just a small amount of damage. After getting hit a few times, he manages to kill the slime. And as previously mentioned, it drops a carrot, a huge carrot. Another slime appears, and when it's almost getting close to Soda, it's hit by a fireball. A trio of guys who need a nice punch appear and start mocking him after finding out Soda is level 1. I guess they forgot to compare carrot sizes, because Soda's bigger. The guys decide to leave, and Soda feels a presence behind him. There's a beast woman, a bunny girl, in that fancy outfit behind him. Of course, Soda asks the most important question. Are those ears real? The girl doesn't reply. She says she hates level 1 people and hits his head. Soda is confused and becomes even more when she turns around and walks away. He returns home after farming and tells Emily that people bought his carrots for 8,000 pylos. They think this is easy money until someone knocks on the door. Yes, the bunny girl is back and smacks his head again, telling him she hates low levels. Shen then starts flicking her body and tells him in a seductive way that she loves him. Emily asks Soda who's the rabbit girl, but he also doesn't know her. He questions if bunny girls live in this world just like regular people. The bunny girl karate chops Soda's head but doesn't understand how he took no damage. She gets on her group members and almost kills him with her karate chop. She tells Soda that she used the same amount of strength, but Soda did not take any damage. She questions why he didn't take damage despite being low level. Soda thinks it's probably because his health points is already rank S, but he asks why she came there. She pulls out a carrot from literal heaven and tells that she got it from the dungeon. Soda then remembers that when he and Emily came back, one of the carrots fell off but they didn't see it. Turns out the rabbit girl stole it from them. The rabbit girl is a carrot pervert and wants more of Soda's amazing carrots. She notices Emily not only has carrots in her arms but also on their table. She says that she loves carrots and starts drooling. Emily asks if the girl wants to eat with them, and of course, a rabbit girl cannot refuse a good carrot. Emily shows how she will be cooking the carrots to make noodles, and the rabbit girl starts salivating. It's finally time to eat, but first, Sato asks if her ears are real. She ignores his questions and starts digging in, stating that Emily must be a god because her dish is delicious. Soda also praises her cooking, and Emily mentions she prepared enough for them to repeat. After they finish stuffing their stomachs, the rabbit girl gets up and prepares to leave. Emily says that she can visit them anytime, and Soda gets confused. He doesn't understand what just happened, especially because the rabbit girl didn't even tell them her name. Emily, on the other hand, simply thanked Soda. Before she moved there, she had always been alone, but now she's able to enjoy happy moments where she can eat with other people. Soda remembers his previous life and thinks that he was the same as her. He always ate alone at home because he didn't have a family. Emily says that from now on, they should eat all their meals together, and Soda agrees. He returns to the Nihonium dungeon, where he upgraded his health points to S rank. He steps into the second level because he wants to become stronger. In this world, he was able to get a warm and cozy life, and he wants to be able to protect it. This new level has zombies instead of skeletons. He tries to kill the zombie by stabbing it with his bamboo spear, but it breaks. The zombie punches him, but Soda finds that it doesn't hurt him because of his health point rank. He starts boxing the zombie and kicks him against the wall, which was enough to defeat it and drop another seed. After catching his breath, Soda picks it up, curious about which stat will be upgraded on this new floor. The seed disappears just like most fathers, as usual, but at least it increases Soda's strength. Soda is happy that this is his new stat until he hears a noise. It's the stalker bunny girl again. He asks what she is doing there, but she karate chops him again. She asks what was that seed drop Soda got. Soda gets worried because everybody thinks this dungeon doesn't drop anything. He knows he's the only one who can get drops because of his S rank drop rate. He doesn't want to reveal his secret, but the bunny girl is staring at him. She suddenly changes the topic and asks if he has carrots. That's when Sato realizes she only cares about carrots. She tells that if he doesn't have carrots then, he gets scared, but she uses a seductive pose and asks dead or carrot. He gets annoyed, yet she only replies that this dungeon doesn't drop carrots. She wants to go to Talulu dungeon and get her carrots, making him promise that he will do it later. She gets extremely happy and disappears. He realizes that she's easy to deal with. You just have to give her your carrot, bro. He managed to upgrade his strength from F rank to D rank in the second level of the Nihonium dungeon. He then killed slimes with his fists to get a lot more carrots than usual. He then heads back to the trading center and sees the rabbit girl waiting for him. He approaches her and gives her a carrot, but everyone around thinks he's crazy. Nobody usually gets near her, because she will literally kill anyone who gives her low-quality carrots. They simply don't know Sato has an S-rank carrot. He's impressed that she simply digs in, and Urza asks him if he knows the rabbit girl. Sato explains he doesn't. He simply gave her some carrots and now she likes him. Everyone around, including Urza, is shocked, and she tells Sato that she will buy his carrots for double the price. Sato is confused, but Urza explains everything. The rabbit girl's name is Eve and she's a strong adventurer. Turns out her killer move is the karate chop named Excalibur that can cut a boulder in half. Urza also says that Eve is a carrot gourmet and that her catchphrase dead or carrot comes from killing people who gave her low-ranked carrots. And since Eve approved Sato's S-ranked carrot, then every carrot he drops will be considered a high-quality product that will be sold for a higher price. He usually got 8,000 pylos per carrot, but now he gets 15,000. He usually drops 30 carrots per day, so that's basically 450,000 a month. He tries to thank Eve for approving his carrot, but she's already down on her knees, asking for more carrots instead. Sato says that he will get her more carrots tomorrow, and Eve replies that she hates him. She tries to karate chop him, but she simply grabs her hand. He manages to convince her that he will get her more carrots tomorrow, and she leaves. The next day, Soda and Emily manage to get a bag full of carrots from the dungeon. He tells her that he will just take a quick look around the dungeon, and he ends up seeing two adventurers fighting a slime. He realizes that they're clearly exhausted from overworking and can barely stand up. Their leader appears and the two hold the slime in place for the leader to defeat it. The leader wants to continue hunting and the two ask for a little rest because they haven't done it in the past 2 days. The old man calls them weak and spouts out random stuff. When he was young, he could spend weeks inside the dungeon without resting, and that's how he got strong. It's clearly BS, he's just exploring young newbie adventurers. The newbies explain they haven't slept, but the old man says that this is helping them get stronger. The two are literally being brainwashed and believe in his random BS. They get up and continue while Soda thinks this is the same situation he was in his previous life. His boss would give him impossible tasks and said it was for their own sakes, but in reality, they were being exploited. Emily approaches Sato from behind and asks if he's fine. He dismisses it and she tells him to take a break to eat lunch. Everything looks great until they hear footsteps. It's Eve running toward them because she wants to eat Emily's lunch. They all share the meal and relax for a bit, until the old exploited appears and comments that Sato's group is a bunch of slackers. He tells the newbies to not become like them. Of course, he's just increasing the brainwashing level. He says that if they're lazy like Sato, their drops will be of low quality. Eve simply cuts a carrot in half and throws it into the newbies' mouths. And of course, the two love it. The old man tries to confront Eve, but he's too weak to deal with her. So, he decides to leave with his pets. She returns to Soda and Emily and continues to eat her carrot. Sato thanked for her help, but she simply karate chops him while saying that she wants carrots every day. Sato and Emily return to the commercial center to sell their carrots. Soda mentions they had many more carrots, but they couldn't carry them all. Urza asked if they didn't have a magic cart. Emily pointed toward one and Urza explained that he can carry more items with a magic cart, this way improving his efficiency. He decides to buy one and Urza told him where the store was. They step inside and ask where the little girl's parents are. She says that her father is modding on the back. She calls her father, who welcomes them. Soda tells the man that he wants a magic cart, and the man gives him his recommendation, which costs 10 million pylos. Soda and Emily cannot believe how expensive it is. The man says that they can buy a normal one for 2 or 3 million, but they're plain. The guy loves to mod and makes expensive carts that come with amazing features, like a monster detection system. Soda realizes he cannot afford a cart right now and must save their money for a while. They head back home until they suddenly hear a guy shouting on the street. They hear that a stray is coming, and Sato asks Emily what that is. She explains that it's a monster created from drops. They can only happen if you leave the drop behind without any human around. Turns out this stray is literally King Kong. The adventurers start running away to evacuate the city, something Sato doesn't understand. Emily explains that nobody wants to deal with strays because they're stronger than normal monsters. Plus, they don't drop any items. Soda notices the magic cart seller and his daughter are also running away. The seller tells that Soda should also run away, but Soda suddenly hears a scream. Urza tripped when she tries to run away, and King Kong is approaching her. King Kong tries to punch her, but Soda uses his strength to block the attack. Eve and her party come to help deal with King Kong and Sato helps Urza get up. She's okay, but the city is being destroyed. Soda then decides that he will kill King Kong because he doesn't want the city to be completely destroyed. Emily is also ready to help him, and the two get ready to act. Soda asks Eve's group to keep King Kong in place, but they don't believe he can deal with it. King Kong picks up a boulder to throw at Sato, but Emily blocks it with her stolen Thor's hammer. Eve and her group manage to block and restrain King Kong's movements. This enables Soda to headbutt the giant gorilla and becomes the new king by punching and destroying the Kong. The locals thank Soda for protecting their city and saving their lives. Soda feels satisfied because nobody ever praised him for anything he'd done in his previous life. Suddenly, he hears a drop sound. He's confused because Emily said strays don't drop items. But at the same time, he remembers that the other dungeon shouldn't be supposed to drop anything. But it drops seeds. He gets close to a light and is shocked to see a super rare drop item. The drop item turns out to be a gun and bullets from Soda's real world. He picks it up and questions how he got a weapon that shouldn't exist in that world. Plus, he got it from a stray, a monster that shouldn't drop anything. He decides to use it and goes to Nihonium Dungeon. He first checks his stats, everything at F except for his C strength and S rank health. His max level is still 1, but at least he's improving while in this dungeon. He returns to the second floor to test if his gun works. He senses a zombie approaching him and shoots it. He finds it amazing that it works on monsters just like it should. More zombies appear, but Soda's aiming skills are still trash. He either misses his shots or barely kills the zombies, until he notices that there's a small problem. He doesn't know how to get more bullets. He reloads the gun and thinks if they will drop from strays too. And since he doesn't know yet, he cannot pretend to be Rambo and waste them. He returns to the slime dungeon with Emily, but the slime evades Emily's attack. Luckily, Soda manages to hit the slime instead of the girl. They make a quick break and Emily says that his weapon is pretty amazing despite never seeing one before. Soda explains that it helps him a lot, and he upgraded his strength to rank B because of it. He asks if she wants to check the 3rd floor after their meal, and she agrees. Soda thinks that he can go to other places or floors once he gets enough stats. Soda finds this life pretty relaxing, but they now need to move to the 3rd floor. He asks if Emily has ever been here, and she replies no. She only knows the names of the monsters and what they drop. They will be fighting cockra slimes to get pumpkins. Soda is annoyed to fight slimes, but he's anticipating Emily's new meals. They move forward and turns out the slimes are cockroaches. Soda finds it disgusting and mentions that girls would run away screaming. Suddenly, he hears a loud noise. He looks behind to see that Emily just smashed her hammer on the ground. He tells her that she doesn't need to go that hard. But turns out, Emily became a complete psycho. She says that tragedy will grow if they don't deal with the enemy. Of course, Soda gets scared. Emily says that she won't let any slime get away, and Soda notices a dark aura around her. She starts smashing the floor with a menacing laugh. But luckily, she returns to normal after getting her pumpkin. Soda then makes his best decision ever to return to the 2nd floor and get carrots instead. They start walking back to the 2nd floor, and Soda thinks they must hurry because he doesn't want to see that version of Emily again. Emily suddenly stops walking and Soda notices something is wrong. He looks to the floor and notices a hole where hundreds of roaches are coming out. Emily turns the psycho mode on and unleashes a stronger dark aura than before. Her last words to Sato are that he might never regain humanity back. Sato tries to deal with the roaches by shooting them and begs Emily to let him take care of them. Emily's twisted side becomes more menacing, making him realize that he cannot miss a shot. Luckily, he manages to use 100% of his brain to concentrate and defeats. Emily returns to normal, happy to see that Soda's pumpkins are huge. The only problem is that they have too many pumpkins, and they can barely take them out. Emily turns dark mode again, saying that the bugs will spawn again. He tries to calm her down when suddenly, their pumpkins get pushed away. Turns out it's Eve asking for today's carrots. Emily's sweet mode returns and Soda thinks Eve just saved him. They take the pumpkins outside and decided to make several trips to sell them. After a few runs, Soda notices some pumpkins were eaten by animals. He thinks that he cannot sell those until he sees Emily's demonic eyes again. She says the roaches are here and smashes her hammer against the floor. Roaches come out of the hole, and Soda gets confused because they're out of the dungeon. Emily gets more intense, but Soda tries to step forward and kill every roach. He shoots some of them but runs out of bullets. Emily is going crazy, so he decides to go old school by using his shoes. He manages to kill every single one of them, and Emily apologizes. She explains she turns into someone else when she sees roaches. He says that it's not her fault, and suddenly hears the drop item sound. He looks to the side and sees bullets on the floor. He gets confused and asks Urza about what happened. She explained that if he leaves dropped items behind where there aren't people around, then monster will spawn. Soda remembers that Emily explained the same thing when they encountered the stray, but he forgot about it. He apologizes for making her wait for the last batch of pumpkins, but she doesn't mind. Soda gets lost in his thoughts about the possibility of forcing strays to spawn and thinks he might get more bullets. Urza is trying to invite him on a date, but since he's too focused on his thoughts, he doesn't listen to it and leaves after thanking her. He puts a carrot on the ground and hides behind a tree. After some time of waiting, something strange happens. Yes, Eve spawned to eat the carrot. Soda tries to explain what he was trying to do, but Eve ignores him. He gets annoyed and decides to try again and again because Eve ate 9 of his carrots. This time it succeeds, and the carrot transforms into a slime. Soda shoots it, and the slime drops 10 bullets. He rushes to his drop and thinks he's the only person who gets drops from strays because of his S-rank drop rate. He suddenly gets an idea. What will happen if he tries to create a stray from the seeds that increase his stats? He returns to Nihonium Dungeon to test his idea, but there's a problem. The seed vanishes when he touches it. He thinks that he might get something from turning monsters with no drops into strays. Since his health is already rank S, he thought he could carry the seeds back without them vanishing away. But he was wrong. He decides to return to Emily and work on his drops. Suddenly, a skeleton appears and they start wrestling. Soda kicks him through the dungeon entrance and thinks it could turn into a stray. But the skeleton vanishes mid-air without leaving any drop. He heads back to Urza to learn more about it. She explains monsters disappear if they leave the dungeon, otherwise they would have strays all over the place. She also explains monsters can also disappear if they enter another dungeon floor. She finds it surprising that Soda doesn't know about it, despite being a strong adventurer. She continues complimenting him, just to find out he's completely ignoring her and got another idea. He returns to the dungeon entrance and waits for a skeleton to appear. He then throws the skeleton outside and shoots it while it's mid-air. His plan works, and he manages to drop something. Soda now thinks that he only needs to kill it outside its floor to count as a stray. And the drop becomes different, it's a bullet. The system informs that he got a freezing bullet. He decides to test it right away on a tree. He then watches the tree frozen inside a crystal of ice. He thinks that this bullet will allow him to have multiple uses. He gets more bullets and returns to the slime dungeon. He can now use the bullet to freeze the slimes, and Emily deals the final blow. She thinks that was amazing and asks what his skill was. He explains that he can freeze whatever he shoots. He also says it's hard to get those bullets, so he cannot use many of them. Emily thinks they're valuable, and Soda replies that he will use them in emergencies. They spend their whole day getting drops and return home at night, but they find two people arguing on their way back. Soda tells them to let him pass through, but the old man tells him to pull up some cargo. Emily looks down and notices a wagon. Soda thinks he can probably do it if they find him a way to get down, but the girl tells him to not do it. She says that it's been a while since it fell and that it should turn into a stray. The girl also explains the wagon is loaded with drops from troublesome monsters, and she plans to burn it. But the old man won't let her do it. He hired her to protect him, but this all happened. The old man is a merchant and just cares about his profit, while the girl is thinking about everyone's safety. The old man reveals she's fired and tries to attack her. She manages to dodge it, and they see an aura around the old man and a mask. She explains that is a stray from the wagon. It's a monster called Femini, who doesn't have a body, so they possess humans. Soda thinks he can do something and tries to shoot it. It surprisingly works and drops some bullets. The girl tells them to take the old man and run. Soda asks what she's planning to do, and she explains the wagon is full of Femini. If they don't do something, the monsters will split and head into different directions. She plans to jump down so the monsters can possess her body. She explains this is her responsibility because she was hired as the escort. Soda remembers the time he couldn't help his friends because he was selfish and decides to help her. He decides to reload his gun with freezing bullets and shoots the wagon. He manages to freeze the whole area, giving Emily a chance to jump down and smash everything with her hammer. The girl thanks him for saving everyone and they return. They decide to check Emily's stats first and find out she reached level 20 in one go. They think it's because she dealt the final blow to the Feminas. Emily replies that it's all thanks to Soda and mentions that more good things will happen if she stays with him. Soda tries to dismiss it, and the two realize they feel the same way. For the next few days, Sato decided to explore the 4th level of the Talulu dungeon. Upon getting there, they notice a strange slime. Emily explains this is a rare monster. Sato is confused, allowing the monster to try and flee, but he uses his freezing bullet to stop him and finishes it off with a normal one. But the drop item seems quite strange, it's not food. Emily even states this is the first time seeing a rare monster dropping anything. Since it looks like a necklace, Sato decides to give it to Emily. She blushes, thinking he's declaring his feelings. She says she will treasure it and that she's happy. That's until Soda states that she can now make more money for them. Her romantic moment ended, and she is still confused. Turns out Sato only gave that necklace to her because it will double her drop rate. She gets mad and starts hitting him. He led her to misunderstand the whole situation. Yet, Sato is the typical Japanese guy who doesn't understand what's going on. The normal type of slimes in this dungeon is bat slimes. Yes, I guess Rimuru is the final boss. Emily hammers 4 down, and she drops 8 bamboo shoots. She still cannot believe this double drop rate item. They decide to return home, where Sato notices her preparing their meal. He wants to help her, but she refuses to. He thinks that it must be rough for her to have a small kitchen and tells her that he's thinking about moving out. Emily thinks he's trying to say that he will leave her alone. Sato explains they're making enough money to find a nicer place. Emily understands, and deep down, she's sad. She gets lost in her thoughts and doesn't listen to Sato asking which place she would like to live in, until she thinks about his question and asks if she can go with him. Sato explains she will go with him, but they need to save a bit more money. She returns to the normal cutie Emily and tells him to not overwork. He smiles at her, mentioning he won't, and gets all hyped up because he plans to get more bamboo shoots tomorrow and get money for their new home. Sato then heads to the trading center to sell his bamboo shoots, but Urza mentions they're hard to appraise. Suddenly, a hottie calls Sato and asks if she can have his bamboo shoots. He almost calls her mommy, but he replies that she can have one. The girl takes one and throws it up, followed by several moves that peel and slice the bamboo shoot. They all fall into a plate with sauce. The girl then gives it a taste and almost goes into food wars mode. Sato thinks it tastes bad, but the girl is going mad. Despite being raw, it's not bitter. It's juicy and sweet. Feel free to imagine whatever you want. JK, she says she never had a bamboo shoot like this before. She even cries while mentioning it's like a rare monster of flavor. She asks Soda to sell her all the bamboo shoots, but he only cares about one thing. Who the hell is she? Urza tells him to sell the bamboo shoots to the girl, so Soda accepts the deal. The girl states that she cannot even give a correct price for its flavor and asks him to accept something as her gratitude. Soda thinks she's going to pay him 1 million or something, yet she only pays 20,000 pylos. He is as disappointed as my parents are and thinks that must be a high price for some bamboo shoots. Urza then explains to Soda that girl is Eric Macy, basically the Gordon Ramsay in their world. If she approves his stuff, then people will pay a high value for it. If she doesn't, you're an idiot sandwich. With this opportunity, Urza decides to ask Soda to sign an exclusive contract with their trading center. Soda is confused, yet she explains that his bamboo shots will become famous in the city. So, she wants the rights to sell them as a branded product, Soda's bamboo shoots. He thinks for a while, yep, that's cool, but are they even worth high value? Urza gets close with a big yes and even mentions that she will pay a signing bonus. Soda agrees and decides to trust her as a business partner. After that, Soda returns to Nihonium Dungeon to increase his strength stat. He's happy that it's also almost reaching rank S until he notices someone there. A skeleton is moving toward her and Soda tells her to be careful. Turns out she has a party of 3 men to restrain with the skeleton, while she gives it the killing blow. The skeleton's head flies into a magic cart, making Soda confused. An old man comes to Soda, telling him to not get in their way because Princess Margaret is working. Soda is confused, but in this world, everything is possible. The old man mentions she's using an airbox. Soda doesn't understand, but the old man explains monsters sometimes don't drop anything when they're killed. But turns out that according to recent research, they're actually dropping air. So basically, they're there to scam people. Their whole operation is to kill a monster and drop the air. They then put the air in a box and sell it. And the cherry on top is that they can advertise it as the Princess Air. Soda is impressed with this business model. Who would have thought about selling air? Soda then asks about the magic cart, and the old man explains it allows them to carry a lot of air boxes at once and avoid making several trips. Soda understands it makes life way easier. He wanted to get one, but he needs to talk first with Emily because it's a bit expensive. After getting home, Soda explains to Emily that he's unsure about getting a new house or a magic cart first. Emily replies they should be getting the magic cart first, because it will be more efficient to carry their drops, and it will allow them to get money faster for their new home. Soda agrees, but he's still a bit off because they won't be able to move out soon. Emily mentions she doesn't care because she likes her life with him in their little house. With this, they decide to go to the magic cart shop tomorrow. But after arriving at the store, they hear Olga, the little girl, is crying. They rush inside and ask what's going on. Olga then mentions that her father hasn't come home yet. Soda is worried and asks some questions. Olga mentions her father told her he was going to pick some flowers. Emily mentions the only place where they can get flower drops is in a dungeon called Arsenic. With this info, Soda decides to go to that dungeon to help Olga's father. Upon getting there, Emily explains the monsters on the first floor are called Dandrox and they don't move or attack. He thinks that will make it faster to find Olga's father, but turns out the monsters are blocking their way. He tries to shoot them, but the bullet bounces off. Turns out that only Emily and her Thor hammer can defeat the rocks. She quickly kills all rocks and drops the flowers. They hurry up and try to find the old man, who turns out to be snoring. Soda gives a slap to wake him up, but it doesn't work because he's sleeping like a rock. That's until Dark Emily comes back to life. She's so mad this dwarf made his daughter so worried, just for him to take a nap. She tries to hammer him down, but he wakes up and asks what's going on. Yet, he only makes Emily angrier when he mentions that he was taking an amazing nap. He ends up apologizing, and Soda asks what the dwarf is doing here. He explains he's here to get parts for his new magic cart prototype. He got some of the materials but couldn't get the last one. But the Dandrox blocked his path and he couldn't go anywhere, so he took a nap. The dwarf tells Soda to look up, where he sees a flying rock. He explains that they're rare monsters, who are light enough to fly, so he can't reach them. So Soda has an idea, a dumb one. He makes Emily climb into his shoulders and complains about her weight. I'm joking. It's her hammer's weight. She then smashes the rare monster with her hammer, and they drop the flower the dwarf needs. To be fair, it would be easier to use a freezing bullet on the monster and it would fall into the floor. The dwarf then goes outside and decides to turn the bloody drop into a stray monster. After a while, the drop transforms into a monster and tries to fly away. The dwarf can't catch it, but Soda is now stealing my idea to use a freezing bullet. Guess what? It works. The dwarf is happy as hell and decides to return to work on his new magic cart, just to offer it to Soda and Emily, who try to refuse because it's expensive. The dwarf explains he's giving it to Soda because he protected the town against the stray. Olga tells Soda to take care of the cart, making him accept the gift. The next day, they return to the dungeon to kill monsters and place the drops inside the cart. They quickly fill it until max capacity, and Emily mentions they got gathered twice the amount of bamboo shoots than usual because of it. Soda then decides to sell the drops to Urza, while Emily decides to go home to prepare dinner. Upon getting to the trading center, Soda notices Urza in a tight situation. Turns out there's a guy who claims that he brought enough drop items to get paid 10,000 pylos, but Urza claims the value is less than that. The guy is aggressive to everyone, and even tries to scam Urza for 20,000 as compensation for her mistake. She refuses to, mentioning he didn't bring enough items to get the value he's asking for. The guy decides to punch her, but Soda cannot let a girl take a hit, so he shoots the guy with a freezing bullet. He tells the guy that Urza would never lie about the price and decides to prove it. He takes out all the bamboo shoots he stored in his magic cart and goes to Urza. She gives him the guy's items and tells him the base price of each. He sets up the price of each item on his cart and stores them. This unique cart can calculate with precision the total price of its store items, and turns out Urza's price was right. The guy accuses Soda of helping the trading center run a scam and tries to punch him. Soda stops the fist and tells the guy he needs to take a nap. He slaps the guy so hard that he flies against the wall. Urza thanked him for his help, mentioning he's been helping her since he arrived there, but she doesn't want to depend on him. Soda mentions everyone needs help. She helps him every day by buying his items with a smile, and she cheers for his success. So, if he has the chance to, he will protect her. Hearing those words, Urza gets the courage to get near him and kiss him. Of course, he doesn't understand what's going on and freaks out after getting kissed. She then heads out to continue her work. For the following days, Soda and Emily return to the dungeon to get more items. He mentions that before, they used to make trips to only herd 20,000 pylos, but now, each of their trips net them 10 times more than before. They make so much money that now, they can buy a new home. They return and start packing their things. Emily mentions it's a bit sad, and Sato mentions all their memories. Soda then decides to keep the current house, in case they miss it and decide to come here again. Emily thinks it's expensive to rent 2 houses at the same time, but Soda mentions he's been working hard for this. She accepts his decision, and they move on to a more luxurious and spacious place. The only problem is that Eve followed them. Turns out a rabbit can sniff Soda's carrot from far. Emily spent her time having fun in their new house making dinner. Meanwhile, Soda was back at Nihonium grinding out to improve his stats. His new opponents this time are mummies, which consumed many bullets for him to take them down. In fact, he spent all the bullets already and needs to get more. He focuses on picking up the seed and finds out that it increases his speed stat. Suddenly, another mummy appears and Soda is forced into a direct confrontation. He uses his strength to hold off the mummy and kicks it to push it back. But turns out that his kick cuts the mummy in half. He realizes this is the result of having S-rank strength and thinks this is more effective than spending bullets. After a whole morning of training, his speed increased from F to rank E. He returns to the trading center and is approached by a random guy. Soda is confused and asks who the hell is he. Turns out this is Nep, a random playboy guy who's living the dream. Of course, Soda is jealous. Nep is not only good looking, but he also has a cute girl on each arm. Soda asks what Nep wants and finds out the playboy wants to arm wrestle him. Soda is confused, but Nep explains he's interested in Soda's power because he heard about Soda dealing with the guy who tried to attack Urza. The guy puts himself in position and asks for the match. That annoys Soda even more because Nep is also confident in himself. So, he decides he must get justice and vengeance. He accepts it with his deepest voice and both lock hands. As the start signal begins, Soda understands that Nep is also strong. Their duel seems even, none wanted to bulge, but Soda swings his arm and wins. This impresses everyone around and the girls get shocked to see their playboy lose. Nep laughs it out and says that Soda is impressive. Soda also tells him the same and realizes that Nep is the leader of the strongest group in the city. Nep asks for another round, but Soda rejects because they already created a new scene. The guy gets disappointed and gets up to leave. Suddenly, he tries to punch Soda, who not only manages to block it with his fist but also projects them backward. Soda gets up and asks what this is all about. Nep gets his ass off the ground, calls Soda impressive, and asks him to join his family. Soda is confused, especially because everyone is talking about him being invited as the leader of the strongest family. Of course, Soda turned him down. Nobody wants to see a playboy in his everyday life. He returns home and tells Emily, who doesn't understand why he rejected it. He explains he doesn't want to join any group. He enjoys his life where he can live beside her. She blushes, happy to hear those words. That's until he hears a voice calling him a cocky low level. That's Eve, mushing on the wrong carrot. Emily still thinks it's impressive that Nep scouted Soda and guesses that it must have been because he helped many people. She calls him a hero, making Soda blush. He returns to Nihonium Dungeon the next day, feeling pretty happy and cocky that she called him a hero. He then meets the princess's bodyguards. Yes, the ones who have been scamming people by selling air. He notices some boxes, and the guy explains that's their newest company scam, the Pandora box. The guy says Soda came at the right time and tells him to look toward the princess. He watches the princess defeat a skeleton, and then another guy uses the box to automatically suck the dropped items, you guessed it, air. The box even displays the face of the person who defeated the monster, and at that moment the princess's budget image appears. The guy explains to Soda that some people don't believe their air is really harvested by the princess, and still trying to guess why someone would buy that. But yeah, this is the way they found to fix that problem. He asks if Soda is an adventurer and gives him 5 boxes, telling him to use them well. And in case you ask why he should need that, I can tell the boxes are empty, so Soda wants to use them to collect his drop items. He uses the boxes to collect the seeds and take them outside the dungeon. His plan is to turn those seeds into strays and then kill the monsters to get his bullets. After successfully defeating the monsters, he finds it impressive that now he can easily get freezing bullets with this method. But that only gives him another idea. He rushes back inside with the boxes to get more monster seeds and then heads out to the other dungeon to meet Emily. When she arrives, she's a bit confused because he's aiming at a box and asks what's he doing. Suddenly, the seeds turn into strays, revealing a zombie and a mummy. Soda shoots the zombie and punches the mummy, getting rewarded with 2 new kinds of bullets. One is a fire bullet, but the other one impresses him even more. He thinks he can use the second bullet more times and that he needs to get more of those. He collects all types of special bullets with this strategy, but he still has one last box remaining. He tries to finish the job, but he feels a powerful chill when he touches that box. Emily explains that it must be because a magic storm is coming. Soda is confused and heads to the trading center, where he asks Urza about the magic storm. She's confused because he doesn't know about it and decides to explain it. She tells him that it's a rare natural phenomenon, where people cannot use magic in town when it happens. She also says that if the magic storm is big enough, then its effects will be felt from far away, and even stop them from using magic in dungeons. She explains that this magic storm is big enough to affect dungeons, so people stay at home to take a day off. That heavily affects the economy because if people don't drop stuff in dungeons, then they cannot sell or buy anything. Suddenly, they hear a guy begging for help because his comrade is still inside a dungeon called Silicon. Soda asks Urza about Silicon, and she explains it's a dungeon for magic users. The guy begs everyone to help him save his comrade, but they refuse to. Soda is confused, asking why they shouldn't be taking the day off. Urza explains the guy's group is new in the city and probably found out about the magic storm when it was too late. The guy falls to his knees, crying, accepting the death of his comrades. Soda is confused because nobody is willing to help. Nep shows up out of nowhere, commenting it's tragic, but in reality, he just wanted to check if Soda changed his decision. He gets a big fat no in his face, and mentions that Silicon's monsters are so hard to defeat that he doesn't even get near it. Urza explains to the confused Soda that monsters in Silicon don't take damage from non-magical attacks. So, Nep also refuses to help because he doesn't feel like helping a stranger. But not for Soda. Emily's words when calling him a hero comes to his mind, and he decides to step forward and help the poor guy. After a quick explanation, Soda rushes inside the Silicon dungeon, aiming to save the girls on level 3. He sees a monster on his way, and he uses a fire bullet to defeat it and get a cabbage. He shoots the cabbage with a freezing spell to stop it from turning into a stray and continues his way. Despite the several numbers of monsters on his way, Soda doesn't stop and shoots them while moving forward. Meanwhile, Emily returns to the trading center looking for Soda, but the staff explains the situation to her. Upon reaching the 3rd level, Soda is attacked by a new monster, but he repeats the usual process. He finally manages to find Rose, the girl's comrade, but she seems heavily injured. He wants to take care of her, but another monster appears. Soda decides to shoot it, but he's out of special bullets. Meanwhile, Emily and Eve are rushing their way into Silicon to help him. Of course, Eve still wants his special carrot, but Emily feels something different about Soda. He's more than that. He reminds her of her mother. That's the biggest friend zone I ever heard. She remembers the time when she adventured in the dungeons with her mother. She always thought her mother was strong, and she always cared for and helped others. Of course, she first needed to scold, lecture, and then have fun with them. But one day, they found a stray dragon inside the dungeon. Emily was worried about her mother, but she ensured her daughter while telling her she could handle it. Her mother managed to defeat the dragon, but she fell after the fight. She told Emily to not cry and carry her outside. Emily used her small body to carry her mother out, trying to find a way to save her. Her mother asked if Emily was going to go inside dungeons in the future and warned her to not be reckless. In the end, she passed away before they reached the city. That's why Soda reminds her of her mother, because she always saw her mother as a hero. He's done so much to help other people, and she thinks it's her turn to help him. Inside the dungeon, Soda is trying to run from monsters while carrying Rose. He tries to shoot them with regular bullets, but it doesn't work. He suddenly hears Emily's voice and gets happy, but doesn't understand why she's there. That's until he notices a horde of zombies chasing Eve and Emily. Emily tells him to take care of the zombies to get more bullets, and he notices the box Eve is carrying. The girls distract the insect monsters, while Soda defeats the zombies. He then uses the fire bullets to defeat the insects, and they get outside the dungeon. The guy can barely believe his eyes when he sees Soda carrying Rose back. She's still badly injured, and he cannot use magic to heal her wounds because of the magic storm. But Soda has a method. He uses the bullet he got from the mummy and shoots the girl, healing her back. Eve is confused, but Soda explains he didn't have time to use it inside the dungeon. Rose is fully healed back, and the guy thanked them for their help. After returning to the city, Soda feels relieved and happy they managed to save her. When Emily sees him smile, she remembers her mother. Soda then mentions he was impressed with Emily's idea to get him more bullets. She dismisses it, explaining she just imitated what she saw him do before. He thanked the girls for saving him, but as usual, Eve wants his carrot. The three then decide to head back home, where they can all enjoy Emily's family meal. After some more dungeon runs, Soda manages to get a new drop. Watermelons. Nope, it's not Urza's, he wishes though. He takes it to her so she can appraise it. But they're interrupted by Eric, you know, that famous chef. Eric will appraise it because, let's be real, if she says it's worth, anyone can be rich. She slices the watermelon and tastes it. It's delicious. The texture, flavor, everything makes her soul feel fulfilled. Soda asks if she wants to find what it really means to be fulfilled. Okay, he didn't, but I would. Soda's watermelons become an instant success. Urza immediately gives him the puppy eyes and asks him to sign another exclusive contract. He ends up accepting and thinks Eric needs a good smash. After all, she basically makes him rich when he gives her a little flavor. Soda gets happy because this is another source of income for him. Urza then asks if he dropped the watermelons from the 5th level of the Tululu dungeon. Soda confirms, and she asks if he already got his license. Soda is confused, yet Urza explains that he needs special permission to explore dungeon levels higher than 6, and it works for all dungeons across the world. She explains that dungeons get more dangerous every 5 levels, and that some towns have different policies. He doesn't need a license to explore the first 5 floors of the dungeons in their city, but he will need licenses if he wants to go further. Plus, she explains that these licenses are mostly to avoid danger, because traders aren't allowed to buy high-level drop items if the adventurer doesn't have a specific license. Soda understands what she's saying. Seems like he's staring at something else though. But she recommends him to get the license to make things easier in the future. She tells him where to go to get his license, and he goes there with Emily. They meet an old man and confirm if they're in the right place. But the old man arrogantly asks about Soda's achievements. Urza already prepared him for it, and Soda answers that brings watermelons from the 5th level every day. The guy keeps his arrogance and grabs a melon and some keys. They follow the old man, complaining about his attitude, and end up in a large room. There, the old man reveals that's a drop from level 6 in Tululu dungeon. He will turn it into a stray, and their job is to defeat it. He warns them that this isn't the type of monster they usually find in their regular dungeon runs. The three wait for the melon to turn into a stray, and suddenly it turns into a steel slime. Emily quickly explains that most weapons get destroyed when fighting them. But Soda is a real man and decides to punch it with his S-rank strength. He hurt himself, the slime, and the slime was still bouncing. Emily starts to get worried, but Soda assures her that he has a plan. It's called magical science. Well, it's science but using magic. I just wanted to give it a cool name. He reloads his gun with 2 bullets, the fire one and the one that freezes. He shoots the fire bullet, making Emily worry because it's not working. But Soda is like, relax bish, and shoots the freezing one. She's confused because the slime is now frozen, and Soda asks her to check this out. He knocks the ice and it shatters. Both Emily and the old man cannot believe their eyes and asks what he did. Soda explains it's the temperature difference, using fire to heat metal up, and then quickly freezing it will make metal shatter. That's what I call magical science. The old man is so impressed that he goes from grumpy grandpa to hyped up lil kid. He approves Soda and gives him the license. The old man explains he's been working there for 10 years, but this is the first time he was actually impressed. Yet, Soda starts murmuring, thinking about something else. He's thinking about a way to increase his drop efficiency. Emily is confused and asks him what's going on. He asks for her help, mentioning that he needs her help to do something. A few days later, they head to a barren land to accomplish their goal. Emily mentions she was surprised when he asked her to help him get 1.5 million pylos because he wanted to buy a tuna. Soda explains he wants to try something, but he first needs to turn the tuna into a stray. The tuna then turns into a huge gorilla stray, yes, the one that attacked the city. Emily starts to freak out, but Soda reassures her, mentioning he will handle it. He steps forward and uses freezing bullets to immobilize it. And then he starts climbing it, just to headshot the gorilla in the eyes. Emily compliments him, mentioning that the first gorilla was a pain to deal with, but this one was much easier. The monster then disappears and drops another gun. Soda gets happy because he can now dual wield, which would make his bullet combos easier to execute. Emily freaks out, begging Soda to not turn evil now that he has 2 guns. He tries to reassure her, mentioning he will always be peaceful as long as she's around him. They then return to the city to sell more items, but Soda notices Urza seems strange. He asks her about it and finds out there's a strike. She explains the Adalbert group occupies the 6th level of Silicon, which is the only place where people can get rice. They're now requesting Urza to raise the price of rice in the city, and if she doesn't, they won't sell her anything anymore. Soda understands the situation and decides to talk to the group. There he meets the hateful playboy, who unfortunately is still alive, Nep. Nep mentions that Soda must be there because of Adalbert. Soda confirms and asks if Nep is for the same reason, yet Nep mentions he came because he was requested. Nep then explains Adalbert did this several times already, so people in the city got tired of it and asked Nep to destroy them. Soda, on the other hand, simply asks if Nep can allow him to do the job. Nep accepts, and Soda gets inside the dungeon's 6th floor, where he meets a ground of adventurers. They draw their weapons, mentioning that entry is forbidden. The guys end up calling more people to help when they see Soda's guns. Yet, Soda simply uses his dual-wield combo to put them to sleep. Nep suddenly appears and asks him what he has done. Soda explains that he used healing bullets. If he uses one of them, it will heal injuries. But if he fuses it with another healing bullet, then it becomes a sleep bullet. This is just another, let's say, skill that he found out when he got his 2nd gun. He tried all kinds of different possibilities and found several skills. If he combines fire and freezing bullets, it becomes an erasing bullet. In truth, Emily is the one who gave the idea to find out what happens with other bullets, which basically made him realize that there are endless possibilities for bullet fusions. Soda then asks for Nep's help to carry the group outside, where they can arrest them for causing trouble. Upon solving the situation, Soda met Gray, the dungeon leader of the city. Basically, he's the big boss of the city when it comes to dungeons. He wants to ask Soda for a favor. In this case, he wants to enlist Soda's help in a battle for a new dungeon against their neighboring city. Soda is confused, but Gray explains that all dungeons east of the city drop meat, which turns their neighbor city into a meat dungeon city. But they found a new dungeon between the cities, and this dungeon drops both meat and vegetables. Since that's the case, both cities must battle to decide who claims it. The battle is mostly about drops. If the adventurers drop more vegetables, then it will be theirs. But if it drops more meat, it will be claimed by its rivals. Soda is confused because he doesn't understand why the cities must battle against each other. They could simply share the dungeon. But Gray explains that every time dropped items are purchased, a tax is charged. That's why owning a dungeon can create a big economic impact in the city. Soda finally understands the situation. Gray then explains that since the dungeon drops meat and vegetables at the same rate, they will use rare drops during the competition. That's why he wants Soda to join the battle, because not only he is strong, but he also has a high drop rate. Gray explains that Soda won't be exploited. If they win, Soda will be immune to drop taxation, and if they lose, he will get paid. Soda ends up accepting the deal and decides to prepare for it. He needs to have several special bullets ready, just in case something goes wrong. He heads back home and explains everything to Emily, who finds it a big deal because Soda's being treated like Nep's family. Emily promises to take care of the house while he's out, but he tells her that he wants her to come with him. She replies she won't be useful there because of her low drop rate. Soda shyly mentions he simply wants her presence, and she accepts. Eve suddenly appears, asking what will happen to her carrots while he's gone. He promises to prepare several carrots for her before they leave. A few days later, they depart to the new dungeon. At night, Emily prepares a tent, making Soda confused because he doesn't know how something this big was inside her backpack. She decides to make the final touches inside the tent and asks Soda to get some water. While he's doing it, he hears some noise but ignores it. A few seconds later, he steps inside and literally sees the tent filled with furniture. He asks how the hell did Emily carry all of this? She explains she packed everything in her heavy backpack. He wonders what kind of backpack is that. But Emily is more focused on them eating pizza for dinner and getting dessert. She explains she was happy because it was their first trip together, so she decided to put in some extra effort. Please, where can I find a girl like this? She then explains she will burn their trash out. This confuses Soda because she could simply throw it out. Emily explains they can throw it out in the city because people burn it for them. But while camping, they need to burn the food remains so it doesn't turn into strays. Soda didn't know about this, and Emily explains that strays that come from trash are stronger than normal strays. Soda then wonders what will happen if he kills one of those strays. So, they decide to test it out. Turns out the stray is Frankenstein. Emily tries to hold it, but the stray is too strong. Soda then uses a fire bullet, but it deals little to no damage to the stray. So, Soda combines 2 fire bullets to create a huge fire. The stray ends up defeated and drops a green bullet. Soda decides to try it the next day by creating a stray from a carrot. The slime stray appears and Soda shoots it. Strangely, for the first time, we see a slime dodge a bullet. Well, turns out this bullet can curve and ends the slime on its way back. Soda realizes this bullet can chase the target, yet Emily thinks he just got another dangerous weapon. They continue their trip and finally arrive at the new dungeon. There are so many temporary tent shops there, sent by the 2 cities because of the battle. But something caught Soda's attention, a huge pile of trash. Emily explains that it's normal because there are many people there. The 2 then see a girl in front of the trash, using her fire magic to burn it out. They get close to her, and hell yeah, she's a cutie. Emily explains the girl must be in charge of burning the trash, but there's a huge problem. She cannot keep up with the trash production, plus her face. Soda decides to stop her because her skin is pale, and there are bags under her eyes. He remembers that he looked like that when he used to work 100 hours of overtime per month. They approach the girl, asking if she's okay, but she's still focused on her job. Emily tells the girl to rest a bit, but she replies that she can't because she must burn all the trash. She tries to burn with the next pile of trash, but she falls unconscious before she can even cast the spell. Soda quickly grabs the girl and tells her she should stop using magic because of her condition. But the girl gets up, explaining that everyone is depending on her. The girl walks toward the garbage pile like a zombie and Soda starts reloading his gun. He has already seen too many people who focus so much on their work, to the point where their health crashes, some even die. The girl replies this is the only thing she can do while casting the spell, but it fails. Yet, Soda doesn't want to see her go through this, so he gets up and combines his healing bullets to put the girl to sleep. Emily is confused about what he just did, but he explains he simply put the girl into a deep sleep. A few hours later, the girl wakes up in Emily's tent and walks out. She sees the sunset and gets worried that she failed at her job. She rushes back and sees the garbage turning into Frankenstein's strays. She's already late, but Soda is in the back shooting the several strays with his fire bullets, defeating them one by one. She's impressed by his skills and suddenly hears Emily tell a queue of people to bring their trash and pile it up. Soda is only doing this because he's getting extra bullets. Emily then notices the girl is there and tells her to go back and rest. Soda tells her to let them handle the garbage and asks if she woke up because she's hungry. They return to their tent where Emily prepares a full meal for them. Before eating, Soda tells her to not worry about their job because they placed their tent near the dumpster. The girl accepts their hospitality and tries Emily's soup. She sheds tears while complimenting the delicious meal. Emily tells the girl that she's similar to Soda. He also sheds tears when tasting something delicious, and he also pushes himself too hard. The girl laughs at the remark, and Emily asks her name. The girl introduces herself as Celeste and explains a bit more about the current situation. The dungeon drops are tax-free until the ownership is decided. That explains why so many adventurers are there, and as a result, trash production increases every day. Soda thinks this is too much for her to handle alone and promises to help her when he has time. Celeste thanked him and mentioned this is the only work she can do. Soda is confused about it, but she falls asleep before explaining. Soda mentions that she fell asleep because she felt relieved because she can now share her burden. The next day comes by, and Celeste uses her skill to burn the trash. Soda feels like her magic is more powerful than yesterday. Plus, she looks more pretty. After finishing her job, Celeste thanked them for giving her a chance to rest. This allowed her to recover her magic, and she became stronger. Emily invites her to stay in their tent to rest and eat because they already know she will overwork again. Celeste feels happy but politely rejects it because doesn't want to take advantage of them. Soda explains the tent was made from Emily's unique skill and convinces her to accept. Since Soda and Emily got stuff to do, they tell Celeste to return to the tent by lunchtime. Both walk around, checking all the stalls in the area. Soda notices Emily paying attention to some accessories being displayed and asks the shop owner why he is here. The old man explains that adventurers buy them as gifts for their wives. Emily finds the accessories beautiful and Soda asks if she likes this sort of stuff. She answers that rings are beautiful and feel special, but she doesn't have the money to buy one. Sato then heads to Sekro's headquarters to check the map of the dungeon and learn about the drop floors. The dungeon is divided into 10 floors, and the drop type depends on the floor. If it's an odd-numbered floor, then it drops vegetables, but if it's even, then it drops meat. For that reason, they decided to make the competition all about which city gets the most rare drops. Soda understands and gets ready to go inside the dungeon. But he doesn't need to because the adventurers will capture the rare monsters and call for him to defeat them. Soda is confused, but this is the most efficient way. They promise to pay him, so they just want him to focus on getting rare drops. Soda realizes they have built their strategy around something that would never happen in his old world. Suddenly, a messenger arrives, revealing they captured a rare monster on the first floor. Soda gets inside the dungeon and finds out that he can only kill the monster if they're in the custody of their city's adventurers. Soda understands but notices a suspicious group watching him. Turns out they're from the city they're competing against. One of the members of that group is a famous adventurer named Eugene, who has a rank F when it comes to plant drop rate. Soda is confused. Why would they bring an F-ranked drop rate adventurer to this competition? The director explains that Eugene is here to disturb them during the competition. Their competitor wants Eugene to kill rare plant monsters to reduce Sekro's chances of winning the competition because Eugene won't drop anything. Soda realizes the situation and decides to kill the rare monster before Eugene tries to do something. The adventurer holds the monster in place and Soda shoots it. But the monster doesn't die and gets stronger. The old man accompanying Eugene thinks this monster has a core hidden in its body. If they don't destroy it, it won't die. At the same time, Eugene reveals his special ability allows him to know where the core is. The monster gets strong enough to the point where the adventurers cannot hold him in place. The monster starts bouncing around, and the old man tells Eugene to defeat it since he got the chance. Eugene starts chasing it around and finally gets a chance to slay it. Soda, however, shoots his tracking bullet upward, and the bullet changes its path to hit the monster's hidden core. Eugene is confused and asks if Soda can also see the core. Soda bluffs saying that he can, but in fact, it's just his bullet doing the job. After stepping outside, the director gives Soda his payment and reveals that the soybean sprouts are also his. Soda wasn't expecting to receive so much money, but he now wishes to repeat this more times. He ends up returning to the tent at night and notices Celeste already sleeping. Emily asks about his day and gives him a drink. Soda explains how their competitor is trying to sabotage them during the competition. He also reveals that he got off early, but he made a stop to buy something. He pulls out a box and opens. Emily sees the ring she really loved this morning and calls it beautiful. Yet, Soda asks if she would like to accept the ring. She gets embarrassed because the ring is expensive. Soda explains she helps him every day, plus he thinks that she's special to him. She accepts, and he puts it on her ring. She tears down, revealing that this is the gift that made her the happiest. The next day, they enter the dungeon to check Emily's stats. She's surprised that every drop rate has a +1 next to it. She asks if that's because of Soda's power, forcing him to explain everything. Basically, the old man had more than a ring, which made Soda curious about which type of stray would appear. So he spent 1 million pylo on a ring to convert it into a monster and check its drop. Turns out, he dropped that same ring and noticed that it had a skill attached. They decide to test the ring's skill by making her defeat a monster on the 2nd level. Emily gets a chicken breast and becomes happy because she wanted to drop meat at least once. She explains her meat drop rate is F and that some dungeons forbid F rank drop raiders from entering. But this ring makes her drop rate E ranked. Suddenly, they hear some noise and see a group of adventurers trying to deal with a rare monster. The monster quickly turns around and hits Emily, damaging her for half of her HP. Soda gets angry and prepares to shoot him, but he suddenly hears the old man that was accompanying Eugene, telling Soda to shoot. He wants to take advantage of Soda's high drop rate to defeat the monster and get drops for the competition. Soda realizes the plan and saves his guns. Soda notices a guy beside the old man and knows that he must have a high meat drop rate. He's unsure of what he should do, but Emily takes off the ring and dashes toward the monster. Soda loads his gun with freezing bullets and shoots to restrain the monster. Emily uses this chance to defeat the monster, dropping absolutely nothing and forcing their competitors to retreat. Soda gives the ring back to her and thanked her. She explains that she remembered their conversation last night, so she took the ring off to drop nothing. After returning, Soda meets the HQ director who praises him for his quick thinking on the 2nd dungeon floor. Soda explains it was Emily's idea, and the director mentions that she got rewarded for helping them. But they now have a problem. Turns out their competitor will triple their number of F-rank vegetable droppers to fill the vegetable floors. The director thinks they must do the same, but Soda wants to end the competition today. He wants to hunt all the rare monsters on the vegetable floors. The director thinks this might work and Soda tells him to raise the reward for finding rare monsters to 10 million. The director thinks it's too much because they might not get a rare drop and they will lose money. Soda tells him that he has a 100% chance of getting a rare drop and promises to pay him back 10 million if he doesn't drop anything. The director accepts the deal and they prepare everything. In a few hours, Soda defeats all types of monsters, from huge butterflies, panda bears, mad golems, and now he must kill a 9-headed hydra. The director explains that he needs to defeat all heads before they can regenerate. So, Soda decides to use his tracking bullets to defeat them all at the same time. The director is all happy because he's pretty sure that they will win this competition. The director decides to report to the HQ, but Soda stays behind because he wants to make some extra money. He steps into a room and ends up being surrounded by several men. Eugene appears and tells that Soda has gone too far. Turns out all these guys have F-rank drop rates and were hired to stop the city of Sekro from winning the competition. Yet, Soda appeared and ruined their plan, so they won't be paid. Eugene signals to a mage, who casts a magic circle under Soda. This circle has the same effect as a magic storm, so Eugene says that Soda won't be able to use his gun. How naive. Eugene promises Soda a little beating, not enough to take his life. The men then gang up on Soda, just to find out his S-rank strength and speed. Soda then pulls out his guns and shots to warn Eugene that his weapons aren't magic. He then shoots every guy he just defeated with his healing bullet and explains that he doesn't use magic to shoot, but his bullets are pretty much magical. Soda then reveals he understands their viewpoint and won't blame them if they continue to attack him. He will beat them up again and heal them if needed. He then returns to the tent, where Emily and Celeste welcome him back. Emily had prepared a full meal for him and even had more. Celeste congratulated him on his job, but he explained that the dungeon didn't belong to them yet. Emily comes in with some cake, impressing Celeste, who couldn't understand how she made it with a campfire. But they get even more surprised when she mentions she also prepared ice cream. The next day, Soda goes outside and sees Celeste burning the garbage. Yet, he notices she is trying to use a huge spell burn the remains. But she ends up losing consciousness and falls into Soda's arms. He uses a healing bullet on her, but she pushes him away because their faces are close. She slaps her face because she doesn't understand what she's feeling right now. Soda asks why she used a powerful spell, and she reveals it's the only one she can use. She reveals she cannot use low-level magic. That's why she's working as a garbage burner. More garbage gets delivered, and she prepares to burn it. But Soda stepped up and shot it with his fire bullet. She is confused, but he explains that he now has free time, and he will help her. She shyly thanked his help, but there was a problem. There was too much garbage to burn. Celeste explained that today was a special day because the dungeon master had appeared. Emily explained that it's a dungeon boss who appears every few months. Celeste elaborates, revealing that people cannot get inside the dungeon, causing them to eat more food to relieve stress. Emily tries to cheer Celeste up, saying adventurers will form a group soon to defeat the boss. Soda tells her to rest and promises to take care of the remaining garbage for the day. She tries to refuse it, yet Soda explains that she works too hard and passes out every day. Emily takes Celeste back to the tent and Soda burns all the garbage. However, there's another huge pile of garbage when he wakes up the next day. Emily tells him to relax because the team responsible for dealing with the boss should already be assembled. Soda decides to check with them, just to make sure Celeste will be able to finally rest. Yet, she's confused and doesn't understand why he's so kind to her. Emily simply explains Soda helps anyone who needs help. Soda meets Nep while he is checking on the boss's situation. His group is supposed to be the one that will defeat the boss, so Soda simply tells him to hurry up and do it as soon as possible because Celeste is having problems with the garbage. Yet, Nep reveals that he cannot. Turns out that the two cities had an agreement in place to assemble a joint team and defeat it. Sekiro chose Nep's team, but Hetero City isn't interested in picking a group. Soda is confused as to why they aren't rushing to deal with the situation. Turns out that if a dungeon master sticks around for a long time, he will be able to change the dungeon. The item drops could change too, so their plan is to stall enough time, just for the possibility of the dungeon only dropping meat. Soda gets annoyed and decides to defeat the boss on his own, but they cannot allow him, because there are certain rules. He needs a group of 3 or more adventurers with at least one rank stat. Soda decides to ask Nep to join him, but he refuses to because of the contract he signed with Nep. Soda walks away to find adventurers who can help him. But that's literally mission impossible because everyone is there to profit from tax-free drops. Soda returns to his tent disappointed and meets Emily. He's confused about why she's holding her weapon, and she reveals that she will come with him to defeat the dungeon master. Soda explains they cannot because they need one more member. Yet, Emily already knew about it and invited Celeste. She explains that she found someone else to take care of the garbage for her. Turns out it was Eugene and all the adventurers who were beaten up by Soda. The girls want to move inside, but Soda explains everyone needs to have at least one rank stat. But that's not a problem because Celeste reveals that she has 2 rank stats. Her drop rates are awful though. She wants to help Soda with this problem because he will soon return to Sekiro and they will part away. The group then decides to move into the dungeon, but they're surprised that it seems empty. Emily reveals that all monsters disappear once the boss appears, and for that reason, there are no drops. Suddenly, the ceiling starts to break, forcing Soda to rescue the girls. When the dust fades, they see the dungeon boss, a bicorn. Soda and Emily rush forward to defeat it, but the monster has a barrier to protect himself against Emily's attack. She's projected back and the horse approaches her. Soda tries to protect her by combining his bullets, but they still cannot penetrate the barrier. Emily retreats, and Soda is still confused about this barrier. He asks Celeste for his help while he reloads his guns, and she casts her Inferno level 3 magic. The fire surrounds the bicorn's barrier and holds him in place. Soda decides to combine his fire bullets into a more powerful one and manages to break the barrier. Emily then tries to strike a blow, but only pushes the boss back. Soda thinks this is his chance and shoots again, but the boss activates the barrier. Emily is confused, but Soda knows this could work. He can use his bullet fusions to destroy the barrier, and the girls will follow up with some chain of attacks. His plan works, but the boss is still alive despite taking tons of damage. They decide to not give up and continue trying until they notice the boss creating a magic circle on the ground. Soda knows they must stop it and Emily charges in, but she loses all strength when she steps into the magic circle. The system reveals that Soda's stats drop 2 ranks. Yet, Emily gets up and breaks the barrier with her hammer. She ends up being projected back but assures that she's fine. She reveals that all her stats dropped by 2 ranks, but they're more worried about Celeste. She depends on her rank stats to keep up her mana levels. Soda cannot let her push herself any further and tells Emily to take care of Celeste. He's determined to defeat the boss all by himself, but Celeste apologizes because she's slowing him down. He thanked for her help because she did more than he asked, but he also mentions that she's more important than her skills. This was the first time she ever heard those words. Until now, every person she met only cared about her skills. Even her boss would complain about her inefficiency. They complained about her collapsing while pushing herself to finish the job. She's been working hard, but nobody has ever recognized it. People have always been putting her down because she can only use level 3 magic, and she accepted those words as natural. But Soda was the first person who actually cared about her and was the first to approve her as a person. Soda walks forward to defeat the boss, but Celeste won't stand down. She got up and decided to give her all. Soda is having a hard time against the boss until he notices Celeste casting her magic skill. Her fire destroys the boss barrier and Soda uses Emily's hammer to destroy the horns. Without the horns, there's no more boss. Soda quickly celebrates, but he then focuses on Celeste, who's collapsed on the ground. She's relieved to find out the boss was defeated but gets surprised when Soda mentions they couldn't do it without her. She tears down, relieved that she was recognized by someone. Yet, Soda suddenly gives her the boss drops. She tries to refuse it, but Soda and Emily tell her to accept it. Upon taking them, Celeste hears a system message mentioning she is now able to use level 1 magic. She looks at Soda confused and he explains that he already talked to Emily about it, and both think Celeste should take it. Emily thanked her for the help and Celeste started crying. They return to report to Duke, who cannot believe they already defeated the boss. Nep's companions appear and tell Soda that he was blessed with amazing companions. He thanked them and asked about Nep's whereabouts. They don't give him an answer, but the scene changes to Nep. He's threatening Hetero's representative because he missed his chance to fight with Sato. The next day, we see Celeste happily burning a small pile of garbage with her new magic. Soda calls out her name, and she excitedly explains she never expected to use level 1 magic in her life. She mentions the dungeon now belongs to Sekiro and asks when he will return home. He answers tomorrow. The two seem apprehensive, but they suddenly tell each other similar words at the same time. Soda invited her to come with them, and she mentioned she wanted to come with him. Both get shy after realizing their intentions, and Soda says that he sees her as his party member. Celeste happily agrees to join them, but Soda still needs to talk to Emily about it. Turns out Emily was listening to everything, and immediately approves it because they will become a family. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.